my name's Brian Scott. The show is called Full Spectrum Colors. This is my dog, Vincent van Gogh, and that gives you a clue because my favorite artist is Vincent van Gogh. Now, Van Gogh influenced generations of artists, and I encourage my students to use a full spectrum of colors. So there they are, there's the full spectrum. It goes from the cool yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, all the way around. And I incorporate all the colors in my paintings. Now, what I'm working on today is Lionsgate Bridge. Now, this is the view from Cloud 9 restaurant in Vancouver. And I'm looking down on the harbor here. Now, it looks like a complex image, but if you follow a few basic principles, the thing to look at is the geometry. So you look at the square, there's the square, there's the circle, and the triangle. So circle, square, triangle. If you break it down into those simple shapes, the image becomes a lot easier to understand. So circle, square, triangle. Now, hot colors forward. So you can see I'm using hot colors coming forward, and then the cool colors receding. We call that atmospheric perspective. So the hot colors coming forward, the cool colors receding into space. Now, so you want large shapes, medium shapes, and small shapes. So just an example, there's the sun. So that's a large circle. Now the light on this lighthouse here is a small circle, and then a medium circle, which would be the circle in here. And of course, you can see circles all the way through here. So it makes it much easier to see the painting, to design the painting if you think in terms of those simple geometric shapes. But I just love the idea of Lionsgate Bridge. Now, Lionsgate Bridge was built during the Depression because the Guinness family owned real estate. Imagine owning all that real estate in West Van and North Van. So they wanted to get people over to sell real estate in North Vancouver. So that's why Lionsgate Bridge, and then eventually the province, bought the bridge. It's a wonderful shape. It's like a piece of sculpture in itself. So you can see I'm really now. And I encourage the students to work fairly quickly, and you use the square brushes to block in the shapes, and work fairly quickly. Get the colors blocked in fairly quickly with the square brush, and then you come back with these pointy brushes here to define the form. So I'll just give you an example here. See, so I come in, so see the boats down in the harbor down in there. So I just use that line to describe the forms. Now, I love playing with the boats because you want to change the direction. You can notice how I'm changing the direction of the boats. You can see it in all my paintings. It makes it much more interesting when you change the direction. Now talking about the direction, so you have horizontal. So there's a horizontal there. Remember in a Georgia O'Keeffe painting, she used a straight line, and it just activates all these curves in here in the landscape. See these beautiful rounded shapes. So you're going round shapes against that straight line. Now, people say to me, why are you working on two paintings? They look the same. When I went to art school, we were taught to do a series of paintings because you learn. It's amazing how much I've learned from doing these two paintings. You can see I've really changed the composition. See, I've got this big shape here and then the smaller one here. That gives it more depth. Whereas here, I've got it over this side, going in that way. So you see you've got a large shape and then getting smaller as you go in. And then, so the squares going in, and then the circles. Now the circles are what we call accent points, because your eye tends to move from accent to accent. See if we can get that up in here. Yeah, the mountains you see in here. So triangles in the mountains, eh? Now the line describes the form. See how I'm using that line to describe the form. Line describes the form. If you get something out of this program, always remember that. So block the shapes in fairly quickly and then use the line as definition. See, I love the flags down in here. So that's it, like I say, it looks like a very complex image, but if you can just think of those various shapes. So large shapes, small shapes. Now, when you're using the line should be thick and thin. So when the line is thick, it's coming forward in the picture plane. So a thick line, if you think of a thick line versus a thin line. So that thick line is going to come forward, the thin line, and then a blurred line. When you have those three, you have 3 dimensions. And if you're trying to create that Renaissance illusionism, the illusion of depth, you want thick and thin lines in there, and that will create that illusion of depth. So you can see, and again the circles. See the circles, the deciduous trees up in here, the circles. And I love the Emily Carr trees. You know, the way she has the trees, you know. Trees are like, Emily Carr's paintings are like music. Everything moves and flows together. Yeah, she's influenced a lot of what I do. E.J. Hughes is another one, another BC artist. What E.J. Hughes does, which is interesting, I often pondered that, why he does that. What E.J. Hughes does, the windows are always black windows. And it's like, they're kind of like a negative space in there. He uses a lot of color too. And you kind of wonder, you know, what's going on in there. You know, but of course, the other thing too, of course, is it's just contrast. Because when you use black beside a color, especially beside red, you can really see it in there. It really activates that red. And of course, red is a primary color, right? And I always use the three primary colors in my paintings. I'm known for that. Because when you use the red, yellow, and the blue, it creates like a tonic of color energy. See, to me, painting is about emotion. It's not about photography. Don't confuse your mediums. Like painting is about paint. See, and it's what we call painterly, right? Because it's, you know, so you want to let that paint let the paint tell the story. You know. Here's another. I love that. I gave you the story about the Lionsgate Bridge. I love the story about the First Nations story on the lions. I don't know if you know that one. It was the story is peace and harmony. The two Indian princesses wanted to get married, but all the tribes up the coast were at war, and they had to have a potlatch in order to get married. You see, so they got in the two princesses got in the canoe and went up the coast and made peace with all the tribes, and in that way they could go ahead and get married. I always thought that was a wonderful story coming from the Capilano Band, which is right in here. Which is why interesting, you see a big forest in here, in this Indian land in here, because they love nature there, and there's a huge salmon run goes up that Capilano River up to the lake up in here. And of course, when I was a kid, I loved Stanley Park. When I was a kid living in Vancouver. The totem poles, the bridge. Imagine being a kid in Stanley Park with those huge cedar trees. It's all up in my head, which is why I love to paint this image, because it takes me back to childhood. And of course, Picasso said, to be an artist, you have to be a child, because it's that playfulness in the child that is the artist. So, now I'll show you a few things about the palette here. Now, you can see how Monet's palette was about twice that size. But now the importance of the palette, let's just get a brush out here. I need a nice big brush. These are called, so you go around the spectrum. So if I start here, I can go from yellow, I can go to orange, right? No problem. Into the red. See that? And then it should get, then I need a clean brush because it's starting to gray down on me. So let's see how far I can go. So if I go into the cool red, see, there's the cool red there. See that? Those are called changes of value, right? See, so I can go from that pink. Now, can I go to the pink into the purple? See this? There, boom. That works. Now that's a reddy purple. Let's see if we can go from there to this one. So look at the range of colors I've got just by doing that, just by adding white. So see if we can go into that. This is what's called a warm blue. Most people think that blue is always cold. Each color is relative. See, so I'm going into that ultramarine blue. Yeah, no, it worked. It's grayed it down a little bit. Now I'd be better off changing brushes. Or I can do this. People love my sweater. Okay, yeah, so I've got that brush cleans. Yeah, so you can get a richer hue. If you think of Van Gogh, he always liked those pure colors. Always look at this pure blue. You know, this wonderful ultramarine blue. There it is right there. Right? Now let's switch, clean brush, and we'll go to the cool blue, which is this one here. That one. Look at this. Whoa, pop. So you can see how important, why I use more white than any other color. See, you see that really different. Now, the coldest color on the spectrum is that one there. And it's amazing how many people don't have it in their palette, is that turquoise. This one here. Look at that. Every other color is warm in relation to that one, that turquoise. Put the turquoise in. And always put the colors out on your palette. You'll use them. You know, it's quite amazing. I've just put a new color in this one here. I don't normally use that one. And I've used it in this painting over here. I'm going to start using that one. I'll just show you the turquoise, just so you get an idea on how important well, you can see it there. I've used it in the foreground here. There's the turquoise there. So, and then, of course, I used it on the Lionsgate Bridge. So there's the turquoise, right? There it is back in the mountains back in there. Now you see the gradation, see? So if I add white to it, right? Remember we said atmospheric perspective is going to make it go back. The cool colors are going to make it recede, see? So if we use those the turquoise is going to be wonderful. And then also the blue. Now I was able to jump back. Do you notice that? I was able to jump from the turquoise to that cool blue because they're related, right? Now watch this. Remember we said atmospheric perspective. See, so that blue, look at that. I just love it. Now that was not difficult what I just did, but just the change from the turquoise. Now when you use the three tonal values, when you use that light, middle tone, and dark, it's three-dimensional, right? It's the same with color, yellow, red, and blue. When you use those three together, the forms become three-dimensional. See, so you see how that mountain is becoming three-dimensional. Now if I go in, clean brush. I'm getting muddy here, so I've got to get lots of brushes. I've got lots of brushes over here. So I'm gonna jump to the white. White and black is your strongest contrast. Eh? Black and white is your strongest. Yellow and purple is the strongest on the spectrum. So let's see if that holds true. So we're just going to use just that white on that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Just the touch of white on the tops of the mountains. See how those mountains are now three-dimensional, eh? Yeah. The other thing I do is I figure out where my light source is. So the light is coming from the sun. You see that? I use a lot of yellow. See how much yellow in there? Why? Because the light from the sun. So the light rays are coming from the sun, and light rays travel in a straight line. So the light's going to come from the sun and strike the forms. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? Now that's not difficult what I'm doing. I'm just outlining with the yellow. And I got that idea from my teacher at UBC, Gordon Smith. He used to always talk about an Austrian artist, Kokoschka. And that's what Kokoschka did. Look at that, beautifully showered his forms with light. So there you go, you can see. And you're never going to do it the way I do it. Everybody does it differently. Like if you looked at Kokoschka paintings, you'd see the ideas there. But he really goes all out, you know, with the showering the light with the colors on there, right? Yeah. The other thing I got from Gordon Smith was the idea of the underpainting, which I've mentioned before. You can see how I use that yellow-red underpainting. The underpainting keeps the picture together. So if I'm using a blue undercoat, the group of 7 did this. Most artists use an underpainting. Seldom use a white ground. So I use yellow, cool red with a black dry brush. You can see the black dry brush underneath there. So I know, look at this. And you can incorporate some of that into the painting. I've started doing a lot of that, of actually incorporating the dry brush effect into the painting. Cézanne did that, excuse me, in his paintings. You could actually see the underpainting. He would even show the canvas showing through in his paintings. So let's go back to this showering the forms with light. See that? You can just see. You can just get really. You talk about being playful and see those are the sun rays shooting across the sky, lighting up the forms. Eh? Look at this, just Lionsgate Bridge. Now, you can just, what you want to do is, there's a phrase I have in my art school, and it's called, you want to let the horse out of the barn, okay? But you got to trust yourself that you can get the horse back in the barn after it's had its run. So I'm letting the horse out of the barn, so I'm just really letting go with the colors, and just, and I know that I can figure out how to resolve. See, so the light is going to shower. So the horse is running. He's being that sense of childlike freedom. I get students come to my classes, just for therapy, because they can just kind of escape into this childlike mode and feel free. So I'm just showering the forms with light. And that's not difficult. To me, painting is about emotion. So if you can incorporate a full spectrum of colors into your painting, you'll trust me, you'll generate that emotion. People are like bumblebees, they're attracted to color. So just to summarize again, now as I mentioned, this is quite a complex image, but if you break things down into those geometric shapes, it makes it very easy to structure the picture into shapes. See, so I've got circles. You can see the circles, of the landscape, the roundness of the landscape, and then the mountains, the sharp edges of the mountains. And then I work quickly with big thick brushes to block in the colors fairly quickly. Probably the most crucial thing is the overall composition. And that's why I started with the white. See the white lines in there? Because then I can change it. Because I actually moved quite a few things around in that composition to get it the perspective right and the way the correct sensibility that I wanted in the painting, in the composition. So that's why the white is a very flexible, because obviously you can paint over it, very quickly. Especially if you're working in oils. I'm working in acrylics today, but with oils, it works really well because you can overpower it, the white very, very easily. Line describes the form. You can see how I'm blocking in the colors with big brushes, and then I go in with the line, describe the form. Now I usually, if you notice, I was outlining a lot with black, but by the time the painting's finished, the black lines will disappear. In the beginning of my paintings, I like to establish that light-dark contrast because it makes it easier for me to see the forms, and then I build the color into it afterwards. See, that's the beauty of acrylics because they dry quickly. The oils are much more problematic because the paint stays wet for 6 months. Yeah, so I hope you've gotten something out of today's lesson. Line, form, color, primary colors, red, yellow, blue, secondary colors. So even if you use the primaries, red, yellow, and blue, the secondary colors is that green, purple, and orange are the secondaries. If you could just use those six colors, you'll get that color energy. And people will they'll just be, like I said, they're just drawn like bumblebees to the color. So that you get those bright colors in your home. Try it in your painting, and your whole environment will change with the color. But full spectrum color. And don't be intimidated by complex images if you break it down into those simple components, you know, of the circle, square, triangle. Yeah, so I just want to end today's show. I hope you've got something out of the various topics. What I try and do is keep things simple so people can, the layman can understand, because art does not have to be difficult to understand. So I really appreciate you watching the show and hope to see you again. Thank you very much.